Hello, my name is Mayela Almazan Arreola, and today I'm incredibly happy and excited to have Dearbhla Reynolds to talk to me about all sorts of interesting things. This recording is being done for Menstrual Hygiene Day. It's a worldwide event that started about 4 years ago and is run by a German-based charity. It started as a day in May to create awareness about the need for sanitary places with running water and access to all of this for the benefit of women in certain countries in the world where they cannot attend school because they can't when they're having their period because of lack of sanitation and things like this. Since then, some people use this day to promote that very needed bit of information. Others have started using it as well to start talking about menstruation periods and trying to make an effort to forget about the taboo and how it is something that we don't talk about. So I have done this before in my Spanish page. Now, this is the first year in my English page. I'm very excited to have certain people come like Dearbhla today, talk to us about food, nutrition, and in particular about fermented foods and how they impact for the benefit of us in our menstrual cycle. Dearbhla started online because I'm sure before that you started way before, but online she created her Facebook page and her club, the Cultured Club website, 2012. And last year, 2016, you published your book on the arts of fermentation. Dearbhla is one of our local heroes in Ireland, championing fermented foods and going back to old ways. So it makes logical connection between gut, healthy gut, and all that has to do with hormones, because our gut sits next to all our reproductive organs. So immediately I can imagine there's lots of things, but Dearbhla wants to emphasize today on food cravings, because obviously it is one of the things that possesses us all during some part of our menstrual cycle. We all get cravings, in particular for sugary things and for chocolate. So this is what you're going to talk about today, Dearbhla. Tell us more, if you want, a little bit about this connection between gut and menstrual health, please. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mayela. Thank you. I'm delighted to kind of delve into this idea of sugar cravings and how they come on particularly strong and nearly uncontrollable whenever we are premenstrual at the premenstrual phase of our cycle. And really, this is a combination of the fact that progesterone is low, estrogen is high, serotonin is in very, very low production. So our bodies are naturally wanting something that will give us that little happy buzz. And naturally, the first thing that springs to mind, or the kind of most instant hit, is this idea of something sweet. Chocolatey being kind of one of the classic ones, but just that our body wants comfort, our body wants foods that will deliver an instant hit. And really, you know, for me, there's quite a few things going on here. This idea of sugar crave, or of a craving, or this kind of PMS symptom, for me really becomes a signal that we are deficient in key nutrients. It's not that our body needs the sugar, it's that we're deficient in key nutrients. And really one of the things that probably makes the loudest noise in our body is the bad bacteria that resides in our gut that basically wants sugar. So it's screaming out there to be fed, and it can get pretty loud and it can get pretty hard to ignore because it's an instant gratification. So for me, it becomes this signal of a sugar craving becomes, you know, not so much about having to satisfy the sugar craving, but seeing it as a signal, seeing it as this alarm, like, hold on a minute, my body really wants something, as opposed to listening to this loud noise for sugar, I'm actually going to see it as a signal to put something nutritious in there. And for me, the food I choose then becomes a food that really gets rid of that craving, that squashes the pathogenic bacteria in the gut that are looking for the sweet fix.
So it's nearly like a smoke screen, is it? This craving, like urgent craving.
Yeah, well, I mean, I certainly
masking.
would have suffered from it myself. And it's, you know, it's widely kind of publicized and advertised that, you know, chocolate is there for you to kind of to fill that gap, or something sweet is there for you, and it's nearly okay to indulge in it, which, you know, at the right time it is, surely. But particularly premenstrual, if that becomes your vice, you end up stuck in this cycle of
Indeed
sugar, feeling a little bit worse for wear because you're not feeding yourself with the nutrients that you need at that time. And then you're just in that cycle of feeling worse and worse. And then, you know, the next thing, your period has arrived, you're bleeding, you're going through that pretty kind of low and depleted. And it's like you never get back on top of it. So for me, fermented foods, I see this as a cue to look for good foods. And this is where fermented foods come in. So there's a couple of things that happen when you ferment something. You are producing a food, first of all, that is very easy to digest. So the nutrients are pretty much readily available. They're there, you know, they're there kind of waiting for you to absorb. The second thing, which is pretty specific to menstruation, is that B vitamins are created in the process of fermentation, and B vitamins and healthy fats during this premenstrual time are absolutely your best friend. They're so vital to deliver nutrients to you that you need. So there you have a fermented food that is now teeming in B vitamins. So, you know, you're going to get absolutely more value for your every spoonful with that. And then, you know, one of the other huge benefits of fermented foods is that they create these good bacteria. The whole process creates good bacteria. And if you start to eat a diet that's rich in good bacteria, you start to nearly crush the bad bacteria that's in your gut. So you're kind of balancing out this ecosystem into a really favorable place. You're going to end up with a gut that's teeming in good bacteria. Those bad bacteria actually won't have a chance to make the noise to say, feed me sugar. Your taste buds change dramatically. So you don't even really enjoy sugar the way you might have done before when you were maybe eating less mindfully. And, you know, really it's giving you a lot of benefits. So I really see this as my absolute tool to have in the kitchen for premenstrual. Well, actually, I mean, I eat this way the whole way through cycles.
That's what I was going to say, Dearbhla, because it's not a quick fix solution for things. So we have to start preparing our gut and looking after our gut, not just in the premenstrual phase, the week before our period, but throughout the month. And the more we strengthen it, then perhaps we will get a very quick response every time, more so as we use it as the emergency thing. So what sort of fermented foods would you enjoy the most, and what are the ones that women say to you they enjoy the most? I'm sure there's tastes for everything, but there must be some that are. And what would be your go-to things?
I mean, it's kind of hard to generalize, but there are so many different types of fermented foods. That are actually the most beautiful thing about it. So wherever your palate is at, you can find one that will start you off on the journey. And really, you need to just start this bacterial journey. For me, eating food becomes about, am I feeding the good bacteria or am I feeding the bad bacteria? Because if I get that right and I keep up the feeding of the good bacteria, it means I can indulge in something. You know, I can have some chocolate, I can have some cake, but it's not going to be detrimental to me. So I would tend to, you know, starting out, if you have a tendency for sweet things, go for a sweet tasting ferment. That will give you the good bacteria. So things like, you know, water kefirs or traditional drinks, or maybe a fermented food that's made with fruit. or you can make sauerkrauts that are flavored up in a way that kind of become nearly quite sweet. A great one is using foods that already have a lot of sugar in them, like carrots, beetroots, parsnips, which are, you know, off the scale in terms of their sugar content. Things like that fermented will actually give you that sweet taste, but all of the goodness.
Yeah.
There's you have all the wonderful drinks like kombuchas, and they can be flavored any which way. So I love just having the variety, and it just keeps things really interesting as well. I'm not always having to kind of go to just one type of food to make me feel good. But this whole maintaining the gut is becoming more and more obvious that this is the key to it's the foundation of health. It's kind of the engine room, and if you keep that right, it starts to affect all of these other functions in the body, you know, seemingly unrelated. Like, you know, the fact that your menstrual cycle could be related to your gut is, you know, a wild idea. But you know, if you look at
we know it is. Now, tell me just then, generally, would you recommend somebody has, for instance, a woman who has never had fermented foods, and okay, I want to start this in my lifestyle because it's an incorporation into our lifestyle. So having a little bit of a fermented sauerkraut a couple of times a day, a little bit of a fermented drink, but not the bottled ones, right? We need to make our own or buy from freshly made.
You do need to make your own, or know somebody nearby who's making them, because unfortunately things are on the market. I mean, you can kind of do the investigation and find out which ones are good, but you know, things are made and put on the market to suit a sweeter palate. So you do need to kind of try and integrate it yourself. If this is not for you and you haven't got time, some kind of effort to take a probiotic capsule is really good. If sugar, particularly around that premenstrual thing, is something that you really, really want to grasp on, I would recommend taking a probiotic called Saccharomyces boulardii. I have one here just so that you can see, and this it's actually more of a yeast that goes specifically after the yeast and bacteria that want the sugar. So that's going to directly go for, you know, trying to squash that sugar craving. But any effort that you make to address your gut health will result in the fact that your gut is operating optimally. And one thing that's really important to consider is that 80% of serotonin is created in the gut. And considering that this is something that is in short supply around that premenstrual time, anything that you can be doing to optimize the production or the place where it's made is only going to be a benefit to.
Absolutely. So we incorporate something into our daily life, some food, some drink. And what would you then recommend this probiotic capsule for this? Ooh, I'm going crazy for sugar. I really need a sugar hit right now. What do you reach out for? What would be the one you reach out for, Dearbhla?
I would say for me, I love kimchi. I absolutely love kimchi. So I would tend to go for that. I just see it as okay, I don't need the sugar. I need something savory. Sometimes as well, actually a handy little tip is to take a tablespoon of coconut oil if you actually feel a sugar craving, or make something with coconut oil in it. You know, something kind of, you could always make like a little healthy treat that's, you know, the pure chocolate, like a raw cacao, which actually is full of magnesium, another great mineral for you to have around premenstrual.
Yes.
So raw cacao, coconut oil, you know, maybe the tiniest amount of sweetener, something like that will actually give you nutrients and make your craving a little bit more bearable. But certainly for some people, that sugar craving is a real challenge. It's a very real challenge. I'm very thankful that, you know, over the past 5 years, I now have that completely under control. But I don't even have a craving. I don't even see it as a physical thing I need to satisfy, which is...
And we're very lucky to have you, Dearbhla, because you're local here in Ireland to all of us. You're very active on your webpage. You have a book out since last year, which people can buy on Amazon, called The Culture Club. And also you have a very active Facebook group where people who attend your workshops, if you want to learn how to make your own fermented foods, fermented drinks, and attend taster sessions and all sorts of wonderful events, you can go to Dearbhla's webpage, the Culture Club, or on Facebook. You find it like this. And we're lucky to have you, because in this group I see that you post things as well, but other people who are now been through certain processes and know how to prepare certain things, so people share the recipes, and it's all great to have. It's a community, right? It's all about community. Yes. This is what it's all about with fermentation, going back to the old ways, which includes the community part of it.
Yes, absolutely. And that's, I mean, that is actually Fermented Foods work on that idea of community. They work on different things coming together to create, you know, a bigger thing that is helpful. And essentially that's what a community is. It's people coming together to allow you to feel more, do more, achieve more, and just feel alive. Basically, it's about feeling alive. So, you know, definitely I do feel that I'm quite dedicated to these foods, because really they truly, definitely impart a living sense, and life seems better with them.
Yes, yes, yes. So just so that people watching this video know, if you attend one of Dearbhla's workshops or belong to her Facebook group, there's always people offering and asking for scobies and starter cultures. So don't worry about where am I going to get hold of something to start my fermentation journey. There's always people. And as far as I remember, in Mexico at least, we always say that scobies and fermented cultures are not to be sold. They have to be given away, which I think is beautiful, because it's part of this give someone something that is benefiting you. So that's fantastic, Dearbhla.
I do think they're nature's gift. We shouldn't be monopolizing on them. But actually, to be honest, if you really want to get started with fermented foods, you don't even need a starter. You don't need anything specific. There are ways where you can literally just, with a little bit of salt, if you want to make food, or with a little bit of sugar, if you want to make some of the more kind of giddy, fizzy, kind of bubbly drinks. Really, that's all you need. And you just need the knowledge. And there is nothing stopping you from going with it. So
yes, and there is a lot of information online, but of course, if you want to support our local heroes like Dearbhla, you go and buy her book on Amazon, hook up with her, attend her workshop, and this is it. Anything else you want to close with Dearbhla with regards to menstrual health and fermented foods?
I guess from my own experience, having been someone, you know, that's obviously had my fair share of cycles, that I really, really wish that I had the knowledge a little bit earlier, understanding, you know, the different phases of a cycle and how you can actually really simply support yourself nutritionally and be quite conscious of what's happening to you. And really your body is going through massive changes, and all of that can be supported nutritionally. It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be a lot of special tablets or supplements or whatever. That literally just understanding that your body needs one or two extra things to help you get through it is just a wonderful bit of knowledge that came a little bit too late in my life, but thankfully now I'm in the position to be able to share it.
And this is why I'm going to put a plug in here now. We go together now with Aoife, and we're doing these retreats to bring this awareness and this knowledge. You know, I'll bring the awareness of the menstrual health part, our bits and bobs. We put it together with your Fermented Magic and get more women to learn all of these things
and feel nourished and feel,
you know, we put together.
Yes, absolutely. I think, you know,
we've Fermented Magic.
with three elements that just really will fit together. And one of the lovely things that I have noticed in my life since really eating fermented foods very regularly is that I feel totally connected. I feel connected to everything now, as opposed to feeling kind of, you know, isolated going through this or that. I feel like everything has its sense, its logic, its connection, and I'm really honored to be able to share it. So Yeah.
Great, fabulous. So I will include a link to the Facebook event for September coming that we're going to be talking about. Is it autumn we're talking about, isn't it? Yes.
Autumn
We're talking about nutrition and self-care of all your body, but in particular of your hormonal producing bits and bobs and your gut. In September, a bit of yoga, a bit of food, and a bit of chat, which is always very good. Thank you very much. That was lovely talking to you. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from this. Just an eye opener. There's things out there that I can get and do myself. Simple things that will make a real difference in my life and how I live it. More embodied, happier, and more in control of things. Absolutely. Rather than be taken over by this cravings and whatever else. So thanks again.
And unfortunately, I think with PMS, that's what we're led to believe. We're led to accept that that's okay, that we're a bit crazy for, 1 or 2 weeks, and we're allowed, that's acceptable, that we're allowed to be like, whatever, hormonally all over the place and not knowing ourselves. But actually, this doesn't have to be the case, which is
no. And this is what it's all about. So thanks for sharing your wisdom, and look forward to September when we'll share some more with someone. Yes. Thanks very much, Dearbhla Reynolds, the Culture Club. Yay! Bye-bye.